Means you're going to cover all of this. Okay? That means that if this is 4 feet on this side, we know it's 4 feet here, there, and there. That means we have 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 feet that way, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 feet that way, right? And I got to cover all of this. What I have here is a square. That's a foot here, this way, a foot this way, a foot that way, a foot that way. You have a square that's a foot on each side. That's why it's called a square foot. My teacher didn't tell me that either. I didn't know where to get square feet from. I just memorized it. If it's area, it's square something. But it makes sense. It's a square foot. It's a foot. It's a square that's a foot on each side. That's why you have a square foot. If it's a yard on each side, you have a square yard. Makes sense, right? When you see it. And it makes sense that if I'm going to cover this whole space, I'm going to go up and cover there, cover all of this. So I'm going to end up covering all these squares that are a foot. See what I mean? And you end up covering 16 squares. You have 16 square feet in that. 4 times 4. Question? Okay. If it's a rectangle, and if I had 2 this way, that's a foot there and a foot there, and 4 this way, I got 8 square feet, right? 8 squares that are a foot on each side. But I don't have to always draw these. Side times side will give you the answer to square feet, to square anything. Side times side. When you're looking for area, area, side times side. If you have a triangle is just half of a rectangle. So the formula is half of it, because if I have 3 this way, it's 3 that way, I got if I added all these together, that'd be 4 times 3 is 12, but I don't have this other half. So if I multiplied 3 times 4 and 12 and took half of it, I'd have the area of just this half of that rectangle, right? So for the formula for a square, to find the area, it's side squared. Means to multiply the side times itself. 4 times 4. That's how you get your 16. 4 times 4. For a rectangle, it's length times the width. 2 times 4. So it's just side times side. Side times side. Side times side. For a triangle, it's side times side and then take half of it. The best way to remember. They tell you half the base times the height. Just side times side and take half of it. You can, and watch this. 3 times 4 is 12, right? Half of it would be 6. If I take half of 4 is what?
2.
And 2 times 3 is what?
6.
6. If I take half of 3, it's 1.5. And you may not know the 1.5 times 4 is 6. You can take half at any time. You can multiply them together, then take half, or you can take half of one of them, multiply by the other, you're still going to get your same answer. Okay? And it's half because it's half of a rectangle. For a circle, the area is pi, still that one of these, times the radius squared, radius times itself. So they may give you a diameter and say, what's the area of this circle when the diameter is 8? I don't need a diameter for area. I need a diameter for circumference. For area, I need a radius. So if they tell me the diameter is 8, what's the radius? 4, right? It's half of it. And then I have to square it, not times 2, but times itself. 4 times 4 is 16, and then 16 times the 3.14. Okay? You don't have to memorize these formulas because they give them to you, but you need to understand them and how to work them. But it's just exactly what they say. If you want to find the area, you take pi and multiply it times the radius squared, which is radius times radius. Okay? And then we'll do problems with these tomorrow, but I just want to introduce you to this today. And you also are going to take your tape test tomorrow, so please come. Some of you have not been tested, and we need to see if you've made progress. We're not going to take the whole time to do that because I want to do some more of these geometry. Volume fills up a space. So if you want to fill up a box, fill up a bottle, when you're talking about how much space this bottle can hold, you're talking about the volume of this. How much water can go in this bottle, you're talking about the volume. How many pens, markers can go in this box, that's the volume. If I want to put trim around this box, that's the perimeter around the box. If I want to paint or color this box, I need to know the area of that. If I want to know how much this box can hold, I'm looking for the volume. It can hold all of these. Well, that's this one. Okay. So, volume, if you look at this box, is really this space all the way down, or this space all the way down. You see what I mean? It covers this much space all the way down this box, layer upon layer upon layer. You can picture it. Covered it all the way. So for volume is really just the area times how tall it is. So the volume of this would be a cube, if it was a square thing, is all of this space all the way down. So it's side times side times side, or side to the third power, because in a cube it's all the same number. If this is 4, this is 4, and this is 4. Think of an ice cube, all the same size. 4, 4, and 4. All they have to give you is one number. They tell you it's a cube, you know it's 4 wide, 4 tall, and 4 long. For a rectangular solid, like in a box, not an artist, it's going to be still that space all the way down. So it's length times the width times the height. That's all it is. The space all the way down. You do not have a triangular solid, so you're not going to deal with triangles for volume. You do have a cylinder, like a bottle, and that's just still pi times the radius squared was the area times the height, how tall it is. All you have to do for volume is add that height, how tall it is. When you're measuring and just adding inches to inches to inches to inches, or feet to feet to feet to feet, or yards to yards to yards to yards, your answer is just going to be the simple measurement. If you're adding feet, you're going to end up with feet. If you're adding yards, you're going to end up with yards. If you're adding whatever it is, kilometers, you're going to end up with kilometers or meters. Area always comes out square something. So if they say how many square feet, you know you got to figure area. Area is the only thing that comes out in squares. Okay? How many square yards? You know it's area. How many square yards of space are in that ranch? You're multiplying side times side. Always square something. Volume is always cubic. Cubic because it's 3. This is cubed. Cubic. And if you picture this box here, and if what is this about? Remember I told you this? Yeah? That's about 3 inches that way and about 4 inches that way. If I went and cut this 3 and 4 all the way and pulled out a little piece, can't you picture that would be a little cube? See, if you slice through there and sliced it up, you're going to pull out a little cube. That's why it's cubic, because you get cubes. That lady could have told me that in 8th grade, but she didn't. I had to figure it out. So what I did was memorize, if it's perimeter, it's just plain old, whatever it is. If its area, it's going to be squared something, and if its volume, is going to be cubic something. I just memorized that, not understanding why it's squared in cubes. Until I figured it out, I said, oh, okay, it is a cube. It is a square that you get. That's why you have a cubic foot, because you have a cube that's a foot on each side. A foot high, a foot wide, and a foot long. Okay? So if they say, how many cubic feet of dirt? You know it's volume. You know it's got to be length, width, and height. It's got to be 3 things to multiply together to get cubic something. Because when you multiply 4 feet times 3 feet times 2 feet, when you multiply 4 times 3 is 12 times 2 is 24. That's the number. But you also have to multiply feet times feet times feet. Anything times itself 3 times. If I have 3 times 3 times 3, that's